You're not alone. If you need someone to talk to today, please contact Crisis Services Canada by either calling them at 1-833-456-4566 all hours of the day, or you can text them at 45645 at 4 p.m. to 12 a.m. Eastern Time. Remember, you're not alone, and Crisis Services Canada is here to help. Good morning, everybody, and welcome to this Tuesday edition of Coffee with Graeme on ASTV Productions. I'm your host, Graeme Forsyth. This edition of Coffee with Graeme is brought to you by AETI, Case Financial Group, Evolve Green, Pilot-Mound Hockey Academy, and Toby Hockey. Hopefully everyone had a great long weekend. Were able to spend it with family, maybe some friends as well, and hopefully everyone stayed safe as well during this long weekend. I know that there was a lot of snow that came in, shut down some highways here in Manitoba. So if you are on the roads as well, hopefully you were able to stay safe. But yeah, it's time to start this week off right on Coffee with Graeme. I'm going to have two guests joining the show here today. This first guest is head coach in the MFHL, Derek Tibbatts, head coach of the Yellowhead Chiefs. His team moving on into the semifinals after a first round sweep over the Eastman Selects. I'm going to ask Derek about the first round that his team had, as well as just talking about the team season in general, the stats that they put up, and what's on tap next for this team as they look to get prepared for their semifinal series coming up here in the second round of the MFHL playoffs. But let's get down to business here on Coffee with Graeme. Derek Tibbatts will be joining the show up next after the intro here on ASTD Productions. There he is, Derek Tibbatts, head coach of the Yellowhead Chiefs, here joining me on this Tuesday morning on Coffee with Graeme. Derek, congratulations, the team on to the semifinals. How nice does it feel, getting that first round series under your guys' belt?
Yeah, thanks for having me, Graeme. The first round is always the hardest round, I feel. Just getting your feet wet, getting into that. Like some of the girls just haven't had that playoff experience. So that first round is good for us. And see what happens in the semis.
You guys had a fantastic season, 21-7 on the year, 115 goals for, which ranks second in the league, 68 goals against. But the team slid into the playoffs on a losing streak, 9-7 loss to Central Plains and 4-1 loss to the Avros in the last two games of this regular season that you guys had. So to come out and play the way that you guys did in the playoffs must have been nice to see, getting those wins and being able to, have success once again.
Yeah, those final regular season games, they didn't mean too much. We tried a few things and maybe went backwards on us, but we had a good week of practices and got ready for the playoffs, and it showed. We had a great series against Eastman, and it was fun to play.
This team this season, a team highly powered offensively, a very good defensive team as well. Just how nice has it been to see the depth chipping in this season with the loads of depth that you guys had this year?
Yeah, we talked about that early on. We have a team that we have lots of depth. We have three lines that can put the puck in the net at any time. So, and D that could rush the puck up too. So it's good to see. And I've never seen a team that has so many goal scorers that can have the natural ability to put the puck in the net.
So you'd say this is arguably the most talented team offensively that you've had the pleasure of coaching?
Absolutely. Yes.
Right on. And Luis Ferguson from the back end ended up leading all defensemen in the league in points. To see the captain in her final season have that type of output offensively, but also being so effective in her own end as a defenseman must have been so nice for you guys to have her like that in her final season.
Yeah, she does good. Great leader to boot too. She had a great regular season and having great playoffs. She's team leader, like I said before, and just great with the puck, good on the power play. She's a quarterback on that power play, and having a super season so far.
2 shutouts in that first round series against the Eastman Selects. This goaltending duo for you guys with Sydney McMullen and Natalie Rampton have been fantastic all season long. Talk about how nice it was to see them play the way they did with the shots that they faced in the first round.
Yeah, they played well. They both got a good taste of playoffs here now in the first series. When you have 2 shutouts in in the first playoff round, it's awesome to see. And yeah, so it's good. We had one goalie that has playoff experience, and Rampton, this is her first time at it, so it was good to see her get that shutout.
What went into the decision of starting Natalie Rampton in that first game of that series, the first playoff game that you guys had? Of course, she was fantastic in that game, stopping all 23 shots she faced. But what did that decision come down to start her over McMullen?
I don't think it was we just we're not going to read anything into it. We just decided we wanted to go with Natalie the first game, and yeah, it was kind of, just don't want to say too much about it, but it was we wanted to give her that chance to play, and then follow up with Sid in game 2. So we just wanted both of them to have some playoff hockey, and we go from there.
Yeah, and when you're able to have 2 solid goaltenders in net, really doesn't matter which one you put out there, right? Because they're both able to get the job done at the same type of level. In that first game, you guys outshot Eastman 35-23, and leading goal scorer on the team, Darby Poole, able to play, or Dara Thompson, not Darby Poole, sorry, was able to have a hat trick in that game. How nice was it to see Dara have that type of performance in that first game?
Yeah, she was flying that game. And don't get me wrong, like all the lines were flying. Everybody was flying that game. All 3 games actually. But yeah, she found the net. She got great speed and on the puck like all the time. And yeah, she had some good chances there, and she buried them. So it was good to see.
Going into game 2, obviously a game that you guys could put them in a hole, a 2-0 hole, which you guys exactly did that. 37-20 were the shots this time around. Hannah Raig with a 2-goal performance. But once again, with 6 goals, having that spread out scoring, that depth coming to the full front there in that second game.
Yeah, that was awesome. It was a good game too. We took a bus up there. So yeah, it was good to see. We had another line come in with some scoring, and like we talked about here in the show, that we have all 3 lines that could put up those numbers. So it was good to spread it around. And we told the girls, some lines are going to be hot, some lines are going to be just okay, and as long as everybody's chipping in, we're going to be good. So it was great to see.
Having the type of advantage that you guys have had and have had against many teams is having that shot advantage. What does that come down to this season? Has it just been the style of game this team plays, or is it something more?
Well, just the talent alone has the ability to have that puck, and I guess when you have that puck, Graeme, you have a chance to shoot and score. So the more shots, the better for any team going forward.
4-1 win yesterday to send the team moving on to the second round, the semifinals. Obviously, that final game being the hardest game to win, and it was Eastman's best game against you guys in terms of the score in the series. You guys were only up 3-1 after the first 2 periods, and were able to seal the deal, finishing it off with a goal in the third period to win it 4-1. How nice was it to see the girls? Obviously, not a ton of adversity, but battling through and being able to come away with a win in a huge game 3.
Yeah, we had a 4-day off without getting on the ice, so we weren't as sharp the first period, but we got better. Second was better, and then third we're pretty much on par to the way that we can play, and kind of carried the game, or took the game over in the third period. So don't get me wrong, Eastman played hard all 3 games. They battled right to the end. They're physical. Yeah, hats off to them. They were a good team to play against.
4 different goal scorers again in this game. The depth coming through when it mattered the most. But going into the defensive side of things, you guys only let up about 23 shots and 23 shots in the first game, 20 in the second game, only allowing 14 in this game. Just great to see that defensive performance for sure. How satisfied were you as a coaching staff, you guys as a coaching staff, to see, the amount of shots that Eastman had lesser than in the other 2 games?
No, and it's good to see our D-man. We had great gap all 3 games. And we had our forwards coming back really, really hard to help the D-man and help the goalies out in the D zone. And it was awesome. Everybody battled in the D zone, so that helps too.
Looking ahead now, obviously, you got to wait what happens with the other series. Westman has a chance to sweep Central Plains in their next game. You guys would get them if that was the case, but if Central Plains somehow able to come back and win that series, you guys will either get Pembina Valley or the Winnipeg guys. No matter who the opponent is, what's the preparation looking like for this Yellowhead Chiefs squad now? Well,
we just have to have a good week of practice and just keep on with the rhythm. Just have to battle hard in practice, like I said before, and we'll see who we play, and then we'll make a plan after that.
I'll probably be wrong here, but the type of preparation doesn't change. The deeper into playoffs things go here as the series, the what's at stake intensifies.
No, we do a little. No, it doesn't change too much. It changes a little bit from regular season, our practices and playoffs, but other than that, it just keeps on normal. Just have hard practices and just a normal routine for us.
Well, congratulations once again, Coach, on your team going through to the second round into the semifinals. No matter who the opponent is, you guys are going to be a tough out. So, continue the good preparation and the good things that this team has been doing all season long. And hope to hear from you again in the future, Coach, potentially later on in these playoffs.
Awesome. Thanks for having me, Graeme.
Of course, Derek, you take care. Derek Tibbatts, head coach of the Yellowhead Chiefs, joining this edition of Coffee with Graeme. First up here on this Tuesday morning, and the Yellowhead Chiefs will get into it more so as the show goes along here of who they will potentially play, as well as giving you guys the updates on what's been going on in the MMJHL, as there are 2 teams through to the semifinal rounds and the semifinal round in that league in the MMJHL in the playoffs. So we are going to take a commercial break here, and next up, Cody Wall, who will be the final guest on today's edition of the show, will be joining Off the Wall with Cody to break down the past 6 games that were played here on the network from last weekend on Wednesday to all the way up until this past Sunday. You're watching Coffee with Graeme on ASTV Productions. Stick around for more after this commercial break.
Why go solar? Solar is better than ever. Our revolutionary design and inverter equipment with the latest in solar panel technology for the ultimate in-home and business security. That's right. I said security. Grid security and security of your home are linked. Fortify your future today with a battery backup system. No maintenance. Quiet running. Did you know in Manitoba, grid-connected, off-grid, and battery backup systems are 100% right off in the year you purchase for any company or farm? Do you want to back up your internet? Keep your tills running and the lights on? We can install a system that is right for you with battery backup fully capable of taking on all those essential loads and keeping you running. When you call our experts at Evolve Green, ask about getting your free energy audit today. Call or email today to find out what system works best for you. 1-866-5EVOLVE or support@evolvegreen.ca. Also, be sure to check out our website at www.evolvegreen.ca.
It's this week's edition of Off the Wall with Cody Wall here on Coffee with Graeme. It's time to talk about a lot of games here today, Cody. 6 games that were played in the past week/weekend here on the network. Excited to have you on to talk about them all, Cody, but how are you doing here on this Tuesday morning, man?
Doing good, Graeme. Nice to be back on here as it is every Tuesday. Talking what we all got to see on the network here. And yeah, like you said, there definitely was a lot of games to cover here today, with coming up on 6 games to kind of dissect over the last week here. Definitely lots of hockey here in February.
Let's get it started with the Pilot-Mound Hockey Academy Buffaloes U15 Prep male team. They went up against the RINK Hockey Academy Winnipeg U15 Prep male team, and it was a 10-1 win for RHA last Wednesday. It was 2-1 after the first period for RHA, and then they really opened things up in the second period with a 7-0 score there, and then they added one more in the third period to win that game 10-1, of course. Talk about that, though, Cody. A close game for the Buffaloes till that second period where it slipped way out of their hands.
Yeah, definitely looked like at times the Buffaloes were trying to chase the game. In the first period, they did look like they kind of matched RHA's speed a little bit more. But like you said, in the second period, it looked like game got a little bit out of hand, allowing almost double the amount of shots from the first to second period, and then only being able to attribute 5 shots on goal for themselves. Really never establishing a good offensive pressure and momentum in this game, and I think that would have been one of the biggest downfalls for the Buffalo on that Wednesday afternoon affair.
Looking back at the shots, as you talked about, Cody, on the second period, they doubled up on their shots. Looking at the final shots in total for RHA was 42-11 for them in favor. In that category, anytime a team is able to get 20 plus shots, in this case 21 for RHA in the second period, means they're doing a lot of things right. And throughout the course of the game, 42-11 in total in that category.
Yeah, definitely. And, looking at their total shots, like you said, in 42, and that second period, them being able to pick up 21 shots, definitely kind of correlates with that point of, where a lot of their offense came in that second period, where they were able to pick up 7 goals on those 21 shots. Really was where they were able to open it up, and it doesn't surprise me why they were able to pull away with seeing how much they were able to kind of outman their opposition in that second period. That was really the one that put the icing on the cake.
For the Buffaloes, they only had 1 goal in this game, and that came courtesy of number 9, Liam Chartrand. The assist going to number 27, Adam Kelly, on that lone goal that they scored in that game. But for the Buffaloes, only 11 shots on net, of course, the 1 goal. But talk about them offensively, just the goal that went in from Liam Chartrand.
Yeah, definitely was a gritty goal. Really saw the effort from the Buffalo there to kind of will their way to try and stay within 1 get back to tied at 1 in the first period. Really showed a lot of versatility to battle back against a team that is higher than them in the standings, which is always great if you're looking for positives in a game like this. Is that there was a period of time that the Buffaloes were able to battle with RHA and kind of maintain, and definitely want to kind of emulate that first period effort going forward when you do play RHA, and just trying to find those gritty ways to match up with a team like them.
Now, obviously, some things can go into this when a team is up by as much as RHA was up 9-1 heading into the third period. Maybe they let off their foot off the gas pedal, or maybe it was just the Buffaloes playing a stronger third period. It was 8-3 in shots for RHA in that period, and the Buffaloes only gave up 1 goal in that period, as opposed to in the second period where they gave up 7 unanswered. Talk about, that third period for the Buffaloes, even though they only still let up 1 goal, able to hold RHA to under 10 shots in that period alone.
Yeah, it really looks like a great defensive effort by the Buffaloes in that third period, restricting their opponents to only 8 shots. It's a lot less than the 13 and 21 that they had allowed in the first 2 periods, first and second period. So definitely a better defensive structure from the Buffaloes there to limit their shots and try to keep the shots to the lower danger areas and try to eliminate the loose pucks and try to win the battles was something that we saw a little bit more from the Buffaloes as that third period began.
We'll finish off with talking about RHA here. For them, they had a few players stepping up big in this game. They had Graham Jones scoring 2 goals and having 4 assists for 6 points on the night in that game. They also had 3 other 2-goal scorers in that game, and Shea Chernley, also talking about Wyatt Stinton and Brody Green as well, all having 2 goals, and they also had assists as well, except for Shea Chernley, who only had the 2 goals on the night. But this RHA team with so many weapons putting it on a full display last Wednesday with the amount of goals that these players scored spread out on the board.
Yeah, definitely a speedy team. Guys like Graham Jones definitely looked good in that affair, kind of taking advantage of the Buffaloes at points, using his speed and able to get to areas where he could generate offense and putting pucks on net and trying to generate some rebounds in front of the net.
Let's move into another game that was played last Wednesday here on the network, Cody, and that was between the visiting Notre Dame Hounds and the home team, the Swift Current Innovation Credit Union Wildcats. The Swift Current Wildcats able to win that one 3-2. It was a very close game. This one went into double overtime and had the Wildcats winning 3-2. For the Wildcats in this season, a team that has struggled to win against Notre Dame this year, finally picking up that win against them this past Wednesday. Yeah,
it was a great affair by the Buffalo back and forth. We saw no score in the first period, and really just both teams able to match each other, going right down to the wire and having to go down to the second overtime for the Swift Current Wildcats to finally be able to get that monkey off their back and beat the Notre Dame Hounds.
Yeah, and it was the first time that Swift Current was able to do that. Coming into the matchup, they were 0-3 against the Notre Dame Hounds in the season action. But taking a look at the score more in depth here, for Swift Current, they ended up only getting outshot 23-22. Aurora Van Warmer had to stand on her head in overtime, of course, as they let up 8 shots in the 2 overtime periods combined. But, overall in this game, the opportunities that both teams were getting in a very close game in terms of shots.
Yeah, it was a very close game, like you said, in regards to shots and opportunities. Were very much back and forth. Both teams did play very good defensively, trying to eliminate their opponent's shots. And from that, it did take a bit of a breakdown and a great play to kind of put the game away. And on that last overtime play, it was a nice turn up by Samantha Thompson to kind of balance the puck in overtime and generate that final play to go 3 or 2-0 on to Notre Dame and end it in overtime.
Speaking of the scoring for Swift Current in this game, of course, as you mentioned, Samantha Thompson scoring the OT winner in double OT, assisted by Caitlin Perlinger and Ava Metzger. But the other goal scorer for Swift Current in that game was their leading goal scorer in Jersey Watain, who ended up putting 2 goals on the board for herself. Talk about that performance from Jersey in this game to have the 2 big goals to, get this game tied up as well, to send it to overtime.
Yeah, she looked good on that Wednesday affair. Being able to get 2 goals for her team in regular time. The power play goal was just looking back here at my notes. The power play goal was, a great offensive cycle in the offensive zone, and I was able to generate off a tip, I believe, off of Jersey Watain to with a nice screen in front to tie the game up. And then for early in the third period, Jersey able to put her team ahead, but a nice power play goal by Caitlin Gilroy to tie it back up in the third period to send us to the double overtime.
Yeah, my apologies there, folks. I said that Jersey Watain ended up tying it for Swift Current, but they ended up taking the lead off of her goal. And, just talking about the Hounds, though, their ability to tie this game up. Obviously, they were up 1-0 and blew that lead, but they were able to tie it up after being down 2-1 in that third period shortly after with the goal, like you said, from Caitlin Gilroy, a team that, has been successful all season long, showing some fight in this game to tie it up, even though they still ended up on the losing side of things.
Yeah, it was a nice offensive zone play by Caitlin Gilroy to tie the game up late in the third period. It was off of an offensive zone face-off scramble and a nice shot from the point to get some traffic in front, and then Gilroy was able to put the Hounds to tie it up.
2 goals coming from the Hounds in that game, both being on the power play. They were 2 for 5 on the power play in that game, and then Swift Current was, of course, 1 for 5 on the power play in that matchup. Special teams playing a huge part for Notre Dame and for Swift in this game. Talk about the special teams for both teams last Wednesday.
Yeah, like you said, special teams did have a big part. Both of Notre Dame's goals coming off the power play really was, 2 good offensive teams going at it. And when the woman advantage was kind of apart, both teams were able to kind of generate momentum, and both teams were able to pick up goals off of their power play with some good, strong cycling around the outside, and then generating a lot of traffic in front of the net with having a body kind of trying to screen the opposition goaltender. And, for Notre Dame, that was something that definitely seemed to work on multiple occasions, coming with 2 power play goals, and for Swift Current, able to pick up one of their own there on one of their 5 attempts.
Well, the Swift Current Wildcats ended up playing 2 other games to finish off their week. And I'm not sure about Notre Dame, but speaking of Swift Current, we will be talking about them coming up later on in the show, as we will move on to talking about some CSSHL action. Before we do that, for the Pilot-Mound Hockey Academy U15 Prep male Buffaloes, as they took on the Northern Alberta Xtreme U15 Prep team. Graeme Forsyth here with Cody Wall on this Tuesday morning here on this edition of Off the Wall with Cody on Coffee with Graeme. I'll be right back with Cody Wall here on the show after this commercial break. Welcome back to Off the Wall with Cody on Coffee with Graeme. Cody finished talking about the Swift Current Wildcats win that they had last Wednesday over the Notre Dame Hounds, as that game could be seen on the network, as all the games that we talk about here on Off the Wall with Cody can be seen on ASTV Productions as they are broadcasted here. But Cody, moving back into the CSSHL action, and pretty surprised, honestly, not going to lie, that this game got played because we weren't able to be there in Blackjack Stewart Arena. Our ASTV Productions crew wasn't able to due to the snow. Surprised that Northern Alberta Xtreme even made the trip in, but they ended up making it in, and they showed up to Pilot-Mound and lived up to all the hype coming in, the number one team in the league, winning 2 games against them this weekend. But let's start off with that game. On Friday night, the Northern Alberta Xtreme able to win it 8-1. A dominant game from start to finish from the number one team in the league. Just talk about their performance this past Friday.
Yeah, they really came in as billed, top team, able to, open the scoring in the first period, and then they really hit their stride in the second period. But what really was notable for me was the way that Northern Alberta Xtreme was able to, restrict the Buffalo to 0 shots in that first period and able to put up 27 in their own right. Definitely 2 numbers that you're not wanting to see if you're the Buffalo's coaching staff. Putting up 27 shots in one period definitely is a lot for your goaltender to see, and then not able to generate any sort of offense of your own the other way definitely can make for a bit of a hard night, especially for the defensive crew, because often when you find yourself hemmed into your own end, it's going to be a hard night. You find yourself gasping for air because you can't get those regular changes that you're normally used to. But it definitely was a big offensive night for some of the Northern Alberta Xtreme, most notably coming from 4 assists from Hayden Harsani.
Yeah, it's a bit of a tough one to pronounce.
Yeah, a bit of a tough one there, but a big offensive night from Hayden Harsani with 4 assists, and some other notable players were Ryan Miller, number 10, and another hat trick by Lucas Kaplan there to top it off with kind of the top offensive players for Northern Alberta Xtreme.
Yeah, and Northern Alberta Xtreme was without 3 players in that game, and in the 2 games that they played, most notably defenseman Reese Hamilton and leading point getter in Cole Reshny. But that just goes to show, this Northern Alberta Xtreme team doesn't just have 2 players they rely on. Both those players being from, of course, forward Cole Reshny and defenseman and Reese Hamilton. But they prove time and time again that it's not just those guys that could put up the offense for them.
Yeah, time and time again, when you see notable players out of your lineup, it's always good if you're the coaching staff for the Alberta Xtreme to see that you have players who can step up when your offensive juggernauts aren't able to always make it into every single game. Sometimes through a long season you can have injuries arise, and with them looking forward into playoffs, they have any players that maybe are on that borderline, and you're coming into a game in Pilot-Mound, maybe the coaches elect to with some of those injuries that maybe are just lingering, set a guy down and try to get the rest of the guys going in those kind of games.
The shots ended up being 69-5 in total for Northern Alberta Xtreme, 27-0 in the first period, 21-3 in the second period, and 21-2 in the third period. Talking about the Buffaloes, though, when they did have an opportunity in the third period, it was able to be capitalized on by Adam Kelly, the assist on that goal going to Bo Murray, who was team captain number 12, and Gage Sutherland, number 3 defenseman for the Buffaloes. Going back to that goal, Cody on the right side of the net, Adam Kelly able to bury it off of a rebound. I believe it was a rebound that he got, and he was able to make no mistake and bury it. Positive for the Buffaloes, you got to take out of it for them in that period, as they were able to score a goal finally.
Yeah, definitely. A game like that, you're always looking for positives. One player I thought who looked like he was constantly giving his all was a guy who was able to pick up an assist on that goal, and that's captain number 12 in Bo Murray. Looked like he was trying to generate some momentum by throwing his body. He is one of the bigger players on the Pilot-Mound team, and he was able to pick up an assist by using more than just his body, but also using his good hockey sense to find his teammates there to generate a goal for Adam Kelly.
One player that was super busy, and I mean super busy, was goaltender number 29, Keane Reed for the Buffaloes. He led in 8 goals, which is something you don't like as a goaltender, but based on the number of shots, pretty darn good night for Keane Reed. 61 saves on 69 shots faced. I mean, a goaltender that really had a heck of a performance, even though he led in 8 goals, just taking a look at the amount of shots he faced.
Yeah, Keane Reed, after a game like that, definitely will be thinking, felt like he ran a marathon after seeing that many shots. And, can't really fault him for, he was able to stop majority of the shots he did face, stopping 61 of 69. You put it that way, it does sound a lot more generous than if you say the goals against when you're looking at the goals against, definitely does look a little bit more ominous than if you're looking at the saves versus shots against.
Going back to Northern Alberta Xtreme before we transition into the final game these two teams played this weekend. This was the same in both games when Northern Alberta Xtreme got their game going, and they had it rolling in this one for the whole 60 minutes. Basically was just that for a good majority of this game was just their puck possession, their ability to control it, possess that puck in the offensive zone, and also cycle it around, not only using their forwards, but their defensemen as well, and their defensemen activating into the play. Just really a thing of beauty watching this Northern Alberta Xtreme team work in the Buffaloes defensive zone.
Yeah, definitely. One of the easiest ways to kind of run the game is, having possession of that puck. When you have the puck on your stick, that means your teammate or your opponents don't, and they're not able to generate any sort of momentum when you do have the puck on your stick. And that seemed to be something we saw a lot in that Friday night affair was great puck possession, like you said, Graeme, from Northern Alberta Xtreme, and able to, find a pretty nice cycle around the offensive zone and being able to put it around and find those open areas to get shots from the perimeter and try and create a little chaos as those shots did come.
Yeah, and it was just also the speed that they showed out there of getting the pucks first, and also hard on the forecheck when the Buffaloes ended up winning those puck races. Just the support on the puck as well. It was just a masterclass in how to really work in the offensive zone by Northern Alberta Xtreme on Friday. And they also showed great signs of that throughout the course of the game against the Buffaloes on Saturday afternoon. And the Buffaloes in this game improved in terms of getting more shots on net. They had shots in each period. The shots ended up being 57-14 in total. So they cut down the shots against in this game. But the problem for the Buffaloes was that they let in more goals this time around, 12 4-0 was the score in that game. For the Northern Alberta Xtreme, able to pop off once again offensively, adding 4 more goals to their total than they had on Friday evening.
Yeah, able to eliminate some shots definitely is a positive for the Buffaloes, but looking at the total amount of goals, that's definitely a number they'd want to work on going forward. Defensive zone structure, something that may need to be worked on a little bit, being able to, play that man-to-man defense and really being able to stick to your opponent and kind of try and suffocate his opportunities going the other way. Granted, it is hard when you do have a fast-moving team like Northern Alberta, where they're able to move their feet and get to the open areas quite quickly by moving their quick feet.
One player that stood out again and almost scored half of the goals for Northern Alberta Xtreme in this game was number 14, Lucas Kaplan. 5 goals, 1 assist for him in that game. A heck of a weekend for him, boosting his totals on the season in these 2 games. But for Lucas Kaplan, just a highly skilled forward with a really good shot and a player that, has good hand-eye, as we saw. Cody was able to get tips on pucks, and a player that just seems to do all the things right, especially this weekend for Northern Alberta Xtreme on Friday and Saturday, but Saturday specifically for this game.
Yeah, definitely offensive player there for Northern Alberta Xtreme, and really was able to kind of flourish there on Saturday, picking up 5 goals and 1 assist, and kind of led the offensive output there, kind of was the driver for Alberta there to generate and keep that momentum that they kind of generated from Friday into that Saturday afternoon affair.
Reese Hamilton had 47 points in 23 games heading into this weekend. Of course, he didn't play, but he's the leading point getter for a defenseman on this team. Second up is Owen Schoetler, who has 29 points in 23 games on the season now. But taking a look at that, Owen Schoetler, a player who I ended up giving the player of the game in that game for the Northern Alberta Xtreme, because Seth ended up going with Lucas Kaplan. This defenseman in this game, 2 goals, 2 assists for 4 points.
Yeah, really just a staple there on the back end, able to generate with that good hand-eye coordination, able to get a good breakout from his own end. And really, when Alberta was in their own end, he was able to seamlessly break out the puck and able to get it back into the offensive zone fairly quickly.
Yeah, and this was a defenseman, like you said, that was very good in his own end, very good in the offensive zone, and a defenseman like so many others on this team that isn't afraid to be mobile in the offensive zone, be active, get shots on net, passes completed to their teammates. I mean, with great success, this Northern Alberta Xtreme team did a lot of great things that went into this 12-0 win this past Saturday. But for the Buffaloes, going over to them, they got more shots in this game, but this time no goals. Just for the Buffaloes, not quite able to capitalize on their opportunities when they did have the chances, unable to solve the goaltending performance of Jordan Switzer in this game.
Yeah, definitely able to get a little more shots on net, but unfortunately not able to have some of the same results that they did up from Friday with picking up a goal. But offensively, needing to create a little bit more traffic in front of the net, get those second and third opportunities, especially against a team that is so offensively gifted. You kind of got to really focus on those garbage goals if you're going to want to try and get one past them.
Going over to the defensive side of things for the Buffaloes, yes, they let up less shots. They let up more goals, but don't know if you can fault Pete Moreau for all of these goals, all 12, because there were a lot of times where the Buffaloes were giving up high quality scoring chances, and also resulting in that turning over the puck into those high endangered scoring areas as well, not making it easy on themselves defensively, and Nax making them pay in this game, of course, with the 12 goals that they scored. Just talk about that, the mistakes that kept piling up for the Buffaloes in this game.
Yeah, especially when it comes down to offensive turnovers or turnovers that go the other end for breakaways, which is something we've seen a couple times there. Sometimes when you have a good offensive player coming down on a goaltender, no matter how good he is, sometimes that speed and time that the offensive player has does give him a bit of an advantage to try and wait out the goaltender. And that sometimes when you see those one-on-one battles, sometimes hard for a goaltender to gauge what the player is going to do. And sometimes, when you do have good offensive players like NAX does, that's going to lead you to a number of goals. And that's something we saw was a couple of goals generated off of some significant turnovers by the Buffaloes.
For Northern Alberta Xtreme, after this weekend, they moved to 25-1 on their regular season with a 18-game winning streak. Now, my apologies. I guess I got that wrong. I thought it was 16 games. I guess they updated it, but this team is absolutely rolling right now, Cody. And, just taking a look at the Buffaloes, they are now on a 7-game losing streak with a 5-19 record on the regular season. We are going to take another commercial break here on Off the Wall with Cody. Coming up next, we are going to switch back to talking about female hockey, talking about some Saskatchewan female U18 AAA Hockey League action. You're watching Off the Wall with Cody here on Coffee with Graeme. Stick around for more after this commercial break. Welcome back to Off the Wall with Cody here on Coffee with Graeme. Cody Wall joining me on the show here on this Tuesday morning. It is time now to talk about the final 2 games that you're going to break down here this morning, Cody, for this week. And it's the Swift Current Wildcats. They played 2 games against the Saskatoon Stars. My apologies there, folks. I just got to... Yeah, there we go. Clear the voice a bit, clear the throat. But going back into Saturday night's matchup, the first matchup of the 2 between these 2 teams, for Swift Current, it was the first of their final 2 home games of the regular season before playoffs hits for them. But they were able to, use that home ice to their advantage on this Saturday, winning 3-0, shutting out the Saskatoon Stars. Yeah,
they definitely look good in that affair on the 19th there, picking up a 3-0 win. Really good overall team effort. Really was a good defensive effort to eliminate the scoring chances, to kind of keep it in the perimeter and generate a lot of their own offense off special teams with one goal coming, their second goal coming off the power play, and then even able to pick up a shorthanded goal from Jersey Watain late in the third period to kind of put the game away even more so late in the third period.
Yeah, and looking at the shots here, it ended up being the Saskatoon Stars out shooting Swift Current 29-28, and those shots, the advantage for Saskatoon came courtesy really in that third period where they were able to outshoot Swift Current 12-5, obviously not being able to buy a goal in this game, but some good opportunities really from Saskatoon in this game to have an opportunity.
Yeah, and another kind of storyline from that game was, a bit of a lack of discipline from Swift Current there. And, luckily for Swift Current, able to kill off all their penalties and not have that 6 penalties taken kind of bite them in the butt there. But, a good overall defensive effort to kill off all those penalties. But going forward, definitely like to think that the Swift Current Wildcats want to be a little bit more disciplined going forward and not allowing their opponents to get 6 power plays on them in one night.
Yeah, and great for Swift Current to be able to kill off all 6, but you're right, you got to be more disciplined in that. And there were a lot of penalties taken in that other game as well on Sunday. We'll get into that in a bit here, but Swift going 1 for 3 on the power play themselves, able to capitalize once out of those 3 opportunities. Nice plus for Swift in this game.
Yeah, always good when you can get your special teams going. And for Swift Current, like I mentioned, they were able to get their penalty kill firing in all cylinders and able to get their power play going as well with picking up a goal on their second attempt of the night. And then able to not capitalize on that third and final attempt, but still able to generate opportunities and able to look good offensively in that game.
For Swift Current in this game, 2 of their goals came from defenseman number 14 and Caitlin Perlinger. She scored the first 2 goals of this game. Of course, she scored a goal on the power play, but when you're able to have a defenseman like that chip in offensively with 2 goals for herself, definitely huge when you're able to get that for Swift.
Yeah, definitely. She is one of those players on the back end that Swift Current depends on. Bringing it back to Wednesday, she was definitely a player who was a contributor in their overtime win to Notre Dame, and she kind of took that momentum into the Saturday night game and really was able to continue and able to pick up 2 points from the point there and able to continue her solid play throughout the weekend.
Carly Leonard ended up getting the shutout. She's been having a lot of success this season. Not the best results for her on Sunday, but we'll get into that in a moment here. But talking about Carly Leonard, her ability to stay calm in net, stay cool and collected on those 29 shots she faced for that shutout.
Yeah, definitely. Good defensive structure to be able to let Carly see all the shots or a majority of the shots coming to her and trying to eliminate some of those high danger shots so that she'd have a good opportunity to see. And really, every time she had the opportunity to see the puck, she was able to stop it. Didn't give too many rebounds, I didn't think. Really was able to, when momentum sort of changed, she was able to kind of slow it down and kind of freeze the puck and slow the game down at times for Swift Current when the Stars started to kind of gain their own momentum going forward.
Moving into Sunday's matchup now, and this was probably one of the craziest games that has been played on the network so far this season. You can even argue that it was 6-5 win for the Swift Current Wildcats, but this game was a 3-2 game for Saskatoon heading into the third period. Of course, Swift was able to tie it at 3 on the power play from Samantha Thompson, but then Saskatoon able to score 2 for themselves to go out in front 5-3, and then Swift Current storming back, winning 6-5 in regulation after scoring 3 unanswered. Crazy. You think that may be an understatement when describing this game, Cody, just how crazy it went down?
Yeah, there's so many aspects of this game that were crazy. The back and forth aspect of both teams, that push and pull mentality, kind of bringing it back to that discipline factor. Swift Current definitely was a little bit more disciplined in the Sunday affair with only taking 4 penalties. But Saskatoon definitely made them pay on one of those opportunities, getting 1 power play goal for them. And then Saskatoon actually ended up being the team that was a little bit less disciplined, and Swift Current able to take advantage on 2 occasions, last one actually being the one that put Swift Current ahead to kind of win the game late from Sadie Keller.
Yeah, Swift Current went 2 for 8 on the power play in this game at 25%, and Saskatoon going 1 for 4 at 25% in their own right. But, just the costly penalties for Saskatoon. Sean Mullen, the play-by-play commentator for both matchups, and the play-by-play commentator for Swift Current, really said it best. Saskatoon shooting themselves in the foot with those penalties that they took, and it came full circle when Sadie Keller able to pot the game-winning goal with 25 seconds left on the board to put Swift Current over the top in this game.
Yeah, really just a dagger to the heart if you're Saskatoon. They're, coming into that third period with the lead and, slowly seeing it slip away like that, especially so late when they're almost able to kind of limp it into overtime and maybe be able to pick up one extra point. But discipline has a way of having a way in a game where if you're taking a lot of penalties and the other team gets a chance to generate momentum off of those opportunities, even if they're not always able to generate a goal like Swift Current was. Sometimes they're able to just even generate the momentum that propels them to later on in the game get a good run. And that's something we saw. Swift Current was able to get a power play goal early in the third period to tie it up. And then, the go-ahead goal ended up being a power play as well, like you said, with 25 seconds left.
For Saskatoon in this game, they were able to have a shorthanded goal that came from Haley Koss. But talking about a goal scorer who scored almost all the goals for Saskatoon, was a leading point getter for them coming into this weekend, was Kira Buziak. 4 goals, no assists for her. I mean, what a performance from number 15 in that game.
Yeah, just really put the team on her back and tried to will them to win. Unfortunately, penalty trouble, kind of like I mentioned, was a story for the Stars, but Kira definitely did her part there in the affair, scoring 4 goals. Anytime you're able to get a hat trick and then add another, you can say that's a pretty good night for yourself.
Yeah, and usually you'd think that 4 goals should be enough in a game, let alone 4 goals from one player. But for Swift, being able to battle back in this game, continuing to fight, not quitting until that final buzzer, that final whistle, able to be able to win this game. Obviously, if you're Swift, not the type of performance you want to see from your team throughout a full 60 minutes, but overall, a game that you might have to be able to play in the playoffs, and Swift being able to get themselves out of a jam, come back and fight back to win this one 6-5.
Yeah, definitely a good point there, Graeme. Heading into playoffs, this is the kind of game where you're going to find yourself in, where you're going to have to battle and you're going to have to dig from within deep to find the momentum at late in games to get a run to try and have a good lengthy playoff run. They're going to have to depend on having games like this where, it's going to be a little sloppy, and you're going to need to depend on everybody down deep in your lineup to step up at certain moments and at key moments. And that's something we saw from Swift Current. On key power plays, players able to step up and tie it up and also put the team ahead.
Talking about the goaltenders here as we finish off, Tora Ward got the start for Saskatoon in that Sunday matchup. Michaela Christman ended up starting for them in a 3-0 loss. Carly Leonard started in both games for Swift Current, and both of these goaltenders had their troubles in terms of letting in goals. Of course, Tora ended up letting in 6 on 31 shots against, and then for Carly Leonard, she ended up letting in 5 on 34 shots against, so 29 saves for Carly in this game, 25 for Tora. Talk about the goaltending performance from both of these goaltenders, though. Even though they let in a lot of goals this past Sunday.
Yeah, both goaltenders look good in the sense that goaltending doesn't, I don't think, always comes down to the amount of goals you let in at a certain time. It's the timely goals. And you know what? It's the timely saves, I should say, that Morley, I think, have a bigger factor. And both goaltenders were able to battle. Maybe they didn't have the games they would have liked in with letting each having a couple of goals get by them that they probably would have liked back. But both goaltenders in Carly Leonard and Tora Ward both battled late into the game and both kept their teams within it, kept their teams in the game late and gave them an opportunity to win. And that's all you can really ask for if you're the coaching staff of both teams, is to have a goaltender who late in the game you can depend on to keep you in the game and keep you battling.
Well, looking at these two teams at this point in the season, Swift Current has that third place placement locked up. They have one more game left on their schedule, and I believe Saskatoon has 3 more. I'll double check that at some point in this episode. But Swift Current on a 5-game win streak now, and Saskatoon is in the loss column for the second game in a row, losing 2 in a row this weekend against the Swift Current Wildcats. Cody Wall joining this week's edition of Off the Wall with Cody on Coffee with Graeme on this Tuesday morning edition of the show. Cody, you take care, and until we see you next week on Tuesday, man, once again, I can't wait to talk about the stuff that we'll be, talking about then. Until then, you take care, man.
Thanks, you too, Graeme, and thanks for having me on. Always a pleasure.
Of course, Cody. Cody Wall on this week's edition of Off the Wall with Cody, joining me to talk about the past 6 games that we saw here on the network and to give you guys some clarification right away about the Saskatoon Stars, the remaining games on their schedule. They have, it says 2 games remaining, but I'm not too sure. Maybe they only do have 2 games. I know for Swift Current, when I first looked at the schedule and showed you guys the schedule, I'm pretty sure, if I didn't, just to let you guys know, it showed that they only had the 2 games left against Saskatoon last time I looked at it, and then they added in the game that they had to play against Notre Dame. So definitely the reason why. Can say for sure why that game for Swift Current, they'll be playing Notre Dame to end off their season, is because their game got rescheduled. But we are going to go to a commercial break, and then coming up after the commercial break, I am going to bring you guys this episode's edition of League Report here on Coffee with Graeme. Stick around for more of Coffee with Graeme after these commercial breaks, or after this commercial coming up.
Welcome to Pilot-Mound Hockey Academy, your world-class academic and hockey training facility created to maximize each student's athletic and academic potential. Blackjack Stewart Arena, home of the Buffalo, is inside the 46,000 square foot complex, as well as a curling rink and other facilities. The students have a unique combination of successful, well-rounded education at Pilot-Mound Collegiate Institute and the professional hockey training in an encouraging community. The years of experience of on-ice coaching propel our students to the next level, both mentally and physically, in a professional environment.
Welcome back to Coffee with Graeme on ASTV Productions. We're 3 minutes after 11 a.m. here into the day. Here on this Tuesday morning on February 22nd, I want to thank all the viewers who have tuned in so far for tuning into this edition of Coffee with Graeme. I also want to thank Derek Tibbatts and Cody Wall for coming on and being the guests in today's episode. But we are not done yet here on Coffee with Graeme. It's this episode's edition of League Report, and a lot to report on today, talking about some playoff hockey from 3 leagues that I will be talking about today, so it should be a lot of fun. Let's start off with the MFHL, showing you guys what has gone down in the playoffs so far. Now, if we take a look at the standings here in the playoffs, these are the playoff standings from the MFHL as they got it separated from the regular season standings, of course. But yeah, just looking at it, I'm going to not put the overlay on. But yeah, the Yellowhead Chiefs and Winnipeg Avros have booked their spot into the second round of the MFHL playoffs. Both teams will be awaiting the winners of the other two series that are going on, but the Avros and the Chiefs, the top two teams in the MFHL this season, moving on with ease into the second round. And for the Avros, it was actually a bit of a not as dominant of a series as Yellowhead played. Of course, Interlake actually gave them 3 tough games, as from what I heard. So maybe for the Avros, cruising through isn't the best terminology to use, but the Avros taking care of business and sweeping the Interlake Lightning. The Westman Wildcats up 2-0 in their series against the Central Plains Capitals so far, and the Winnipeg Ice and Pembina Valley Hawks have only played 1 game so far, and Winnipeg was able to win that. And the reason why these series haven't been able to be completed yet, or they haven't been able to play as many games as they would have liked to up until this point, is due to the weather conditions canceling games with highways being closed and stuff over the weekend. So let's go into the scores here of what has happened in the playoffs so far in the MFHL, and we will go into it here. So yeah, talking about the Interlake Lightning here, like they gave the Winnipeg Avros a tough battle in the first game of their series. The Avros were able to win that one in overtime, 4-3. Of course, the Yellowhead Chiefs on the same night on February 15th were able to win 7-0 to go up 1-0 in their series over the Eastman Selects. Moving into the game that was played on Wednesday, it was the Westman Wildcats winning 5-0 over the Central Plains Capitals. Moving into Thursday's action, it was the Winnipeg Ice with a commanding 6-1 lead over the Pembina Valley Hawks. Another game that was played on Thursday night was the Yellowhead Chiefs on the road against the Eastman Selects, winning 6-0. And then the other game that was played on Thursday was the Winnipeg Avros winning 3-0 over the Interlake Lightning. Into February 18th on Friday, it was the Westman Wildcats holding on for a 3-2 lead to extend their playoff record to 2-0. They have the Central Plains Capitals in a hole right now, 2-0 as they lead that series. They got a stranglehold there. And yeah, there wasn't really many other games that were played this weekend due to the weather in Manitoba. But moving into Sunday's action, the Winnipeg Avros were able to advance into the second round, of course, with a 5-1 win. And then yesterday, the Yellowhead Chiefs winning in a closer matchup than the other two in their series, 4-1 over the Eastman Selects. Now, taking a look at the schedule in the league, when the other first round matchups, the other first round series are supposed to be rescheduled. Now, I'm not too sure here when they will be rescheduled, but just looking at it, I believe that tomorrow the games will be played. Tomorrow I believe the games got rescheduled for. Let me check the social media here, the page for the MFHL. So taking a look at it, let's take a look. So this was announced on the MFHL's Twitter 20 hours ago. Unfortunately, the game tonight between the Central Plains Capitals and Westman Wildcats in Hartney was canceled, again due to the closed highways, Highway 2 and Highway 23, and multiple accidents on Highway 1. So the game is going to be rescheduled for tomorrow at 7:30 p.m., as you can see here. Looking at the Pembina Valley Hawks, I believe that, yes, their next game will be tomorrow on Wednesday at 7:30 as well. So I will have the updates for you guys on those games, how they panned out, coming up on Thursday night's edition of Coffee with Graeme on League Report. Could very well be seeing the Westman Wildcats moving on into the second round if they're able to take care of business tomorrow night in Hartney. Moving on to the Saskatchewan Female U18 AAA Hockey League, going into the schedule for the league and taking a look at it here, what went on. So talking about Thursday's games. On Thursday, it was the Saskatoon Stars winning a close one, snapping their losing streak at the time, winning 1-0 over the Battleford Sharks. The Regina Rebels taking care of business, but in close fashion to the Weyburn Goldwings, as Regina, the Rebels, were able to win 3-2. Moving into Friday's action, there was only one game that was played, and that was the Battleford Sharks going up on the road against the Weyburn Goldwings, and another close one for Weyburn that they just couldn't win. 2-1 was the score for Battleford's in that one. Moving into Saturday's action, there were two games that were played. It was the Notre Dame Hounds winning 3-1 on the road over Prince Albert, the Northern Bears, and then on Saturday, of course, this game that was seen on ASTV Productions, the Swift Current Wildcats winning 3-0 over the Saskatoon Stars. And then moving into Sunday's action, an absolute thriller, a win for the Swift Current Wildcats, 6-5 win over the Saskatoon Stars. And then the Notre Dame Hounds winning 6-3 over the Prince Albert Northern Bears on Sunday as well. Now, taking a look at the standings now, things are pretty much set here almost for the Saskatchewan Female U18 AAA Hockey League playoffs. It's the Regina Rebels still in first place. Right on their heels, though, is the Notre Dame Hounds. And if Notre Dame keeps playing the way they're playing, they could very well be the first place team in the league when the season ends. But for the Swift Current Wildcats, they got third place locked up. In fourth place, as you can see, there is the Saskatoon Stars, and I believe that Saskatoon has that fourth place spot locked up. Wouldn't matter if they fell, though, as they would be playing the Prince Albert Northern Bears either way in the first round. And the Battleford Sharks in third place, they are going to be matching up against the Swift Current Wildcats in the first round of the playoffs. They're in sixth place, and the Weyburn Goldwings, I believe that the first place team in this league gets a bye. So they'll be playing either Regina or Notre Dame in their first round playoff matchup. Now, taking a look at the statistics in this league, taking a look at the point leaders, we'll zoom in here as well. Alexis Petford continuing a fantastic season for herself, 75 points in 28 games played. Greta Henderson way behind her, but in second in points. Her teammate, Alexis Petford's teammate, of course, Greta Henderson, with 48 points, and as well as Petford's and Henderson's teammate, Gerard, has 41 points, which ranks third in the league. Ryan Parrott, 40 points in 25 games played. She is fourth in the league in points. And then Megan Hayhurst of the Regina Rebels, 39 points in 29 games played for the fifth most points in the league. Taking a look at the goals, goal leader Alexis Petford with 37 goals in 28 games played. After that, it's Greta Henderson with the second most goals in the league with 22. Jersey Watain, third most goals in the league at this point in the season with 20. She had a very good weekend for herself against Saskatoon. But Megan Hayhurst for the Regina Rebels in that fourth spot for goals in the league. And then with her huge 4-goal performance in Sunday's contest, it is number 15 of the Saskatoon Stars, their leading point getter. Let's zoom in a bit more here because I am having trouble reading it. It is actually a tie for fifth in goals in the league at this point with Kira Buziak and her teammate, rookie in Avery Barros. And then right behind those two with 1 goal less is Ryan Parrott, of course. But moving into the assist leaders now in the Saskatchewan Female U18 AAA Hockey League. Looking at it, it is Alexis Petford with the most assists in the league, still with 38. Ali Gerard has 29 assists. She's second. Regina Rebels forward Greta Henderson with 3 less assists and 2 more games played than her teammate Ali Gerard with 26 assists. Ryan Parrott moving into that fourth spot with 25 assists on the season in 25 games played. And then Megan Hayhurst and Brooklyn Nemegers. I'm pretty sure I'm pronouncing that wrong. My apologies to Brooklyn, but both of them, Hayhurst and Nemegers, with 20 assists on the season. Now, moving into the goalie leaders in the league now for the stats, talking about the win leaders. And we will differentiate that right here. 1 second. So yeah, looking at it, the goalie with the most wins in the league is rookie goaltender in Carly Leonard with 13 wins on the season, only 3 losses. Chloe Sorensen with 12 wins, only 1 loss on the season. She is second in the league in wins for goaltenders. And then it's Eva Filipova, Peyton Schlamp, and Bailey Lindsay. Filipova and Lindsay of Notre Dame, and Peyton Schlamp of Regina of the Rebels, all tied with 11 wins on the season. And of course, Bailey Lindsay still undefeated on her season in 11 games played. Now moving into the MMJHL now. Taking a look at the schedule. We're going to zoom in a bit too. Taking a look at it. Let's see here. Let's see. Where was I last time when I was reporting about this? Well, let's run through the games from February 17th, as that is where we left off last time on Thursday night's edition, talking about that game the last time. But yeah, so what happened on Thursday last week? Well, there was only 1 game that was played, and that was the St. Vital Junior Victorias losing in a shootout at home 4-3 shootout loss for the St. Vital Junior Victorias against the River East Royal Knights. Moving into Friday's action, it was the St. James Junior Canucks on the road, going into Stonewall and winning 8-0. The Fort Garry Twins with a 3-2 win on the road over the Transcona Railer Express, a huge win for Fort Garry on their season at this point. The Saturday game, that was the St. Vital Junior Victorias winning in a close one, 4-3 in overtime over the St. Boniface Riels. Hats off to the Riels for keeping that one a close game. But moving into Saturday's action, there was a quadruple header throughout the league. It was the Raiders Junior Hockey Club winning 8-4 over the Transcona Railer Express. The River East Royal Knights taking care of business, winning 6-3 over the St. Boniface Riels. The Charleswood Hawks winning 5-4 in a close one over the Fort Garry Twins, and the Pembina Valley Twisters winning 5-0 over the Stonewall Jets. And the only game that was played yesterday, it was the Pembina Valley Twisters at home beating the Raiders Junior Hockey Club 6-1. Moving up into the standings in the league now, have we seen any changes in the standings? And in fact, we have. With Transcona on a 2-game losing streak here, and with the Twisters on a 6-game win streak. That is good enough for the Twisters to move into the 2nd place spot in the MMJHL. The St. James Junior Canucks still the number 1 team in the league with 66 points. The St. Vital Junior Victorias, of course, with 51 points on the season, 37 games played for them. The Raiders Junior Hockey Club in 5th place still, but right on their heels at this point in the season is the River East Royal Knights with 36 points, 3 points back at time the Raiders Junior Hockey Club. The Charleswood Hawks with 35 points on the season and 40 games played. And with games in hand, it's the Fort Garry Twins in 8th place with 37 games played only on the season. So yeah, interesting how this playoff picture is shaping up in the MMJHL now. Can the Transcona Railer Express get back to their winning ways here late in the season? Will the Pembina Valley Twisters keep on winning and keep in that 2nd place spot? And will the St. James Junior Canucks end up getting the 1st place spot in the league? What will happen in the 8-6 spots in the league, as well as the 5th place spot? Well, we'll have to wait and find out as the season continues to progress here in the MMJHL. Talking about the statistics in the MMJHL now, it is TJ Matsiushevsky still leading the league in points by quite a bit at this point. And don't you absolutely love it when your computer glitches out? There we go. You can actually see the names now. But TJ Matsiushevsky with 80 points in 40 games played. Now, that's a 2-point per game average. Hats off to him on the fantastic season he's been having. Definitely the key to Pembina Valley's success offensively this season. It's run through TJ Matsievshevsky. For Curtis Luke, he is second in the league in points with 71 in 34 games played. Connor Grunston with 64 points in 39 games played ranks him third in the league in points. Tyrone Willen, rookie for the St. James Junior Canucks with 59 points in 38 games played. He leads all rookies in points at this point in the season. And then in fifth for points is Jace Kennedy III with 55 points. Right behind him is Rory Neal, defenseman for the St. James Junior Canucks with 54 points in 36 games played. Now, taking a look into the goal leaders in the MMJHL, we got a 1-goal difference in terms of the goal leaders here, and that is TJ Matsievshevsky with 34 goals in 40 games played. Right behind him is Curtis Luke with 33 goals, 34 games played. Griffin Height with 29 goals in 35 games played. Nathan Ayotte with 28 goals in 27 games played for Pembina Valley. And then looking at Tyrone Willen, the rookie for the St. James Junior Canucks with 27 goals in 28 games played. Ashton Romanek with 27 goals as well in 35 games played for the St. James Junior Canucks. Now, moving into the assist leaders in the league, well, it's TJ Matsievshevsky leading the league in assists with 46 in 40 games played. Connor Grunston with 39 assists in 39 games played makes him second in the league. It's Rory Neal, my apologies, with 39 assists in 36 games played. Curtis Luke with 38 assists in 34 games played, and Ben Coppinger and Matthew Smith tied in terms of the assists that they have this season for that fifth spot for fifth most assists in the league with 33 apiece. So that is the top 5 for the assist leaders. In the MMJHL, we'll take a quick look at the goaltending statistics at this point, taking a look at the win leaders in the league. Noah Gilbert, congratulations to him. 20 wins on the season. The first goaltender to reach that mark this season out of all the goaltenders in the league. Justin Powers and Dylan Arnold, both with 15 wins each. Logan Enns for the Pembina Valley Twisters with 15 wins on the season. And then Martin Gagnon as well for the Pembina Valley Twisters with 14 wins on his season. All these goaltenders having above 900 save percentages. Now, taking a look into the Zone 4 High School Hockey League. Well, there has been playoffs that have started in this league, of course, and let's take a look at it. Well, taking a look at the 3 Thursday games that were played. As you can see here, all the results are here, but I'm going to tell them to you guys anyways. The PCI Trojans sweeping the GVSD hockey team 2-0 in that best 2 out of 3 series. The Trojans on Thursday night making a statement as the number 1 team in the league, 14-0, and then they were able to finish off GVSD in yesterday's action with an 8-3 win. The Carmen Cougars against the Morris Mavericks. The Cougars winning 2-0 in that series, cruising really. 8-1 win over the Mavericks on Sunday. And then in the second game of the back-to-backs in the playoffs here for these two teams in their matchups, well, yesterday, the Carmen Cougars winning 14-0 over the Morris Mavericks as they move on. The WC Miller Aces against the Morden Thunder. The WC Miller Aces in a close series against the Thunder, able to win it 2-0. The Aces winning 5-3 on Thursday, and then yesterday they were able to book their spot, punch their ticket into the second round, into the semifinals with a 4-3 win over the Thunder in double overtime. The Mountain Mustangs against the Pembina Tigers. The Tigers up 1-0 in that series over the defending champs. And taking a look at it on Thursday is the one game and only game that they've played so far. 5-2 was the score in that game and the win for the Pembina Tigers. And yeah, I think due to the weather, these games have been canceled. But the next game that will be played is tonight in Pilot-Mound between these two teams at 7 p.m. as the Pembina Tigers look to pull off the upset based on the seeding. Really these 4 or 5 matchups, it could be considered an upset, but also like these teams are so close with each other, right? But it's the Pembina Tigers with a chance to finish it off tonight and move into the second round if they are able to finish it off and defeat end the season, send them packing, send them golfing, whatever you want to call it, send the Mustangs out of the playoffs as they are the defending champs coming into this season. But you can see here the Carmen Cougars and WC Miller Aces already have their playoff matchup set. The PCI Trojans awaiting the winner of the Tigers and the Mustangs, which will be decided. The league must be hoping in the next 2 days here for that series. So one more thing to talk about here, folks, on this edition of League Report, and it is to do with the Winnipeg High School Hockey League playoffs. Now, I sorted it out here as best as I could. I'm not going to show you guys the screen here because I don't want to show you guys the notes. I don't think that'll look too good in terms of just the visual. Don't really like the way the notes will look on the screen. Would rather have it on the website, having it all sorted out, but I had to sort this out myself because there's a lot of games played and the league just has the games that are played on the schedule so far and the results. So I wanted to group them together in total. So the Platinum Promotions Division, which is the A division, so the top division in the whole Winnipeg High School Hockey League. I'm going to tell you guys about the standings in the league as well as giving you guys the playoff matchups. But an interesting thing is that the Winnipeg Free Press division has 2 divisions this year. They split it up, the West Division and the East Division. They've done it before. I forget if they did it back in 2019, 2020, but they split that up because there's just so many teams there, right? So there's also the C Division, but they have not played their playoffs yet, which is named the Price Division. But taking a look at it, at the Platinum Promotions Division, the regular season results, it was St. Paul's number 1. They ended up getting the first seed in the whole league. They were the number 1 team in the league. It's Vincent Massey, the Trojans. In second place, they finished. Westwood finished with the 3rd best record in that league, or the 3rd place in that league. Sturgeon Heights was in 4th, Lord Selkirk in 5th, Oak Park in 6th, Miles Mac in 7th, Garden City in 8th, Steinbach in 9th, and River East in 10th. So they had some play-ins, preliminary round games, and this actually started for the division, the A division, back on February 7th, where it was Garden City taking on Steinbach. Garden City won the first game 5-4. They ended up leading that series 1-0. Moving into February 9th, the other series that was played in the preliminary round of the A division, Miles Mac taking on River East. Miles Mac won 3-1 to go up 1-0 in the series. Game 2 of the Garden City series was also played on that day against Steinbach on February 9th, and Garden City was able to win it 5-2, winning the series 2-0. Moving into February 10th, the second game of the A division preliminary round between River East and Miles Mac. River East able to win this one 4-1 to tie the series at 1. And then the final game that was played the day after on February 11th, it was River East able to come back in their series after being down 1-0 and winning in a close one over Miles Mac 4-3 to move on. Now, going into the A division playoff series so far, it was St. Paul's, number 1, ended up drawing River East in the first round of their playoffs. St. Paul's with a commanding 4-0 lead to go up 1-0 in that series. The Westwood team ended up beating Oak Park 5-3 on February 14th. Both of these games were played on February 14th, by the way. Westwood ended up going up 1-0 in their series. And then on February 15th, St. Paul's won 8-0 win over the River East team. St. Paul's moving forward into the next round. In terms of the game ones now in the Winnipeg High School Hockey League, the standings here, just looking here, I am a bit confused, but it is what it is. But the game ones that were also played in the A Division playoffs in the Winnipeg High School Hockey League, Lord Selkirk losing 1-0 in a shootout to Sturgeon Heights. Sturgeon Heights leading it 1-0, and then the Garden City team losing 5-2 to Vincent Massey, and Vincent Massey leads that series 1-0 at that point. But moving into the A Division playoffs for February 16th, the Westwood team winning 4-1 over Oak Park. Westwood won that series 2-0, so they will be moving on. And Vincent Massey up against Garden City, winning that matchup 4-3 in overtime to punch their ticket into the next round. Vincent Massey winning that series 2-0. And then the Sturgeon Heights team winning 1-0 over Lord Selkirk to punch their ticket into the next round as well. And I don't believe the Vincent Massey series has started. Well, not the Vincent Massey series, sorry. I don't believe the River East series has started yet in the Winnipeg High School Hockey League, but we'll have to update that for you guys coming up on Thursday if I missed anything. But moving into the Winnipeg Free Press Division, the B Division playoffs, looking at it, the Winnipeg Free Press West Division, I believe there's 9 teams in it, but West Kildonan ended up finishing as the best team in the Winnipeg Free Press West Division. Stonewall finished in second. SJR, which is St. John's Ravens Court, finished in third. St. Paul's number 2 finished in fourth. Sanford finished in fifth. Calvin finished in sixth. Kildonan East finished in seventh in that division. College Gabriel Raw finished in eighth, and Shaftesbury finished last in the Winnipeg Free Press West Division. In the Winnipeg Free Press East Division, now this is a bit deceiving, but I do believe there is some clarification here. So College Belleville, the Barracudas, are listed with most wins and as the number 1 team in the Winnipeg Free Press East Division. But due to the amount of games they got over Springfield, I believe it is due to points percentage, Springfield ended up getting the number 1 seed in the Winnipeg Free Press East Division. So you got Springfield at number 1 in that division, along with College Belleville, the Barracudas, at number 2. And then Powerview, Sag King, I'm not too sure how to pronounce that. Honestly, my apologies if I got it wrong. I don't mean any disrespect there, but they finished in third. JH Bruns finishing in fourth. The Windsor Park collegiate team finishing in fifth. Glenlawn, the 2019-2020 Winnipeg Free Press Division finalists, finished in sixth. The Dakota Lancers finished in seventh. Lorette finished in eighth, and College Jean Sauvé finished in ninth. Now, let's get into it, shall we? There were some play-in games that were played. So, let's get into it here. But College Jean Sauvé going up against Lorette. College Jean Sauvé ended up winning their first game 4-3 in overtime to go up 1-0 in their series. College Gabriel Raw won 3-1 over Shaftesbury on February 14th as well last Monday. College Gabriel Raw leading that series at that point 1-0. Windsor Park winning 4-3 over JH Bruns. Windsor Park ended up leading the series 1-0. And it was the College Belleville Barracudas winning 4-2 over the Dakota Lancers to go up 1-0 in their series. Going into February 15th now, division playoffs for B Division starting, not just the plans, but the actual other playoff matchups as well. It was Sanford winning 3-2 over St. Paul's, it was Sanford winning 3-0 over St. Paul's 2. Sanford ended up leading the series 1-0 at that point. Kildonan East ended up winning 4-2 over Stonewall. Kildonan East went up 1-0 in that series. College Gabriel Raw ended up losing to West Kildonan, and I believe that was the first game played for them. So in that series, so West Kildonan went up 1-0 in that. And then SJR, St. John's Ravens Court, going up in their series early, winning 4-1 against Calvin to open up their playoffs. And then Glenlawn losing 4-1 to Powerview Sag King. Powerview Sag King ended up leading the series at that point, 1-0. Windsor Park and JH Bruns went at it on February 16th, and Windsor Park, after having a day off, ended up taking care of business and beating JH Bruns, sending them home packing 5-2. Windsor Park advances to the next round with a 2-0 series win. Calvin and SJR, well, Calvin was able to tie the series up at 1 apiece with a 6-3 win. And then Collège Jean Sauvé lost against Springfield in, I guess, their first matchup against them, 3-1 for Springfield in that matchup. Kildonan East ended up losing 10-0 to the Stonewall team, as that series went tied to 1-1. February 17th, now looking at the playoff games that were played here. Collège Bellevaux, they had a chance to advance over Dakota, and they did just that, winning 1-0 to send themselves into the second round. It is the looking at the other matchups now, the Springfield team winning 4-2 over Collège Jean Sauvé. That marks the end of Collège Jean Sauvé's season, as Springfield swept them 2-0. St. Paul's 2 losing 3-1 to Sanford, and St. Paul's 2 going home early here as Sanford won the series 2-0. Powerview Sag King and Glenlawn. Well, Glenlawn was not going to go down without a fight. In this series, they won 2-0 over Powerview Sag King on February 17th. The series tied at 1 apiece. SJR and Calvin ended up playing their third and final game of their playoff series, and SJR was able to win that game 2-0 to advance into the next round with a 2-1 series win. And on February 18th as well, Kildonan East and the Stonewall Game 3 matchup ended up being canceled, so they rescheduled it for February 21st, and which was yesterday, and it ended up being the Stonewall team winning 13-2, sending Kildonan East home here as Stonewall advances after winning that series 2-1, and Powerview Sag King sending the 2019-2020 finalists and the Glenlawn Lions home with a 5-3 win yesterday. Powerview Sag King wins that one, 2-1 that series for them to advance to the next round. So taking a look at it here, that's going to do it for all the scores I got to report on today for the Winnipeg High School Hockey League. Of course, we'll most likely have the Winnipeg Women's High School Hockey League results of their play-in rounds. If they do have those, I will report on that for you guys coming up on Thursday night's edition of Coffee with Graeme. But yeah, that's going to do it for this edition of League Report on this Tuesday morning on Coffee with Graeme. We are an hour and 37 minutes into the broadcast, coming up on an hour and 38. And that means for me, since I'm done talking about the leagues that I reported on today in League Report, it's time to take one last commercial break here on this edition of Coffee with Graeme. And I'll come back to you guys after the commercial break with some final words here on this Tuesday morning. You're watching Coffee with Graeme on ASTV Productions. Stick around for more after this commercial break. Well, stick around for some final words after this commercial break. Welcome back to Coffee with Graeme on ASTV Productions. Everybody just got done with an edition of League Report. Hopefully you guys enjoyed it. Leave a like, a comment, a reaction, whatever you guys want to do to leave some feedback, maybe if you want, of how you enjoyed today's edition of League Report, or maybe you didn't enjoy it so much. Maybe you weren't happy with some of the results that you saw, but want to give a special thanks to Derek Tibbatts, head coach of the Yellowhead Chiefs, U18 female hockey team, and Cody Wall, the man on off the wall with Cody. Once again, I want to thank those two for coming on today's edition of Coffee with Graeme and being the guests. Also want to thank you, the viewer, for tuning in on this Tuesday morning, as well as a special thanks to the sponsors of Coffee with Graeme in AETI, Case Financial Group, Evolve Green, Pilot-Mound Hockey Academy, and Toby Hockey. I'll be on the network next year for Coffee with Graeme coming up on Thursday night at 8 p.m. Central Time. Be sure to check out the guest list for that episode of who will be joining it on our social media pages, on our Instagram at ASTV Productions, on our Facebook at ASTV Productions, as well as on our Twitter at Amateur Sports TV. Be sure to catch that episode on our Facebook, on our Twitter, and on our website as well at astvproductions.com on Thursday coming up at 8 p.m. But in terms of what's going to be going on for me and some content that's coming up for you guys in the next day, tomorrow, it's going to be Wednesday's edition, the only edition of Rise and Shine Manitoba show, an all new edition of that show coming up tomorrow at 10 a.m. Central Time. Be sure to check out the guest list on our social media pages tonight, on our Instagram, our Facebook, and Twitter to see who will be joining tomorrow's edition of Manitoba show. But one other thing, I have been slacking on this. I did not do one last night, but my show, The Prospect Show, by the way, if you guys want to watch that episode, check it out. You can. We ended up rerunning an episode because I did not have any guests, new guests that would be joining the show. We're unable to get anyone on, and understandable because it is family day. So players spending times with their families and their loved ones for sure. So didn't do an edition of League Report. It was just a rerun episode of the Connor Bedard episode that I did back on July 2nd. Still such a cool experience to be able to interview the next one up in the hockey world once he does make it to the NHL, but get drafted first overall next year. You'd have to think to whatever team lands that first overall spot. But getting sidetracked, I did not release an edition of Player Breakdown yesterday since it was a rerun. Player Breakdown, of course, the segment that I do on the Prospect Show, taking a look at game footage from a guest that I had on the show or players in general that are highly touted prospects and breaking down their game. I did not do that yesterday, but I did one the week before with Charlie Ellick, third overall pick in the 2021 WHL draft to the Brandon Wheat Kings. I did not end up releasing it separately as of yet, but I am going to do that at some point today. So stay tuned for that edition, that separate segment of Player Breakdown with Charlie Ellick of the Edge School U18 Prep team in the CSSHL, as that will be coming out on our Facebook today, as well as on our YouTube at Amateur Sports TV. But yeah, that is all for today's edition of Coffee with Graeme, folks. I hope you enjoyed it. I've been your host, Graeme Forsyth, and until I see you all on Thursday night for this show of Coffee with Graeme, have a wonderful rest of your Tuesday. Stay safe out there, stay warm out there, and also stay safe on the roads if you are traveling by car. But other than that, folks, until I see you, like I said, on Thursday night, giving you the salute now and the peace out, Graeme Forsyth of Coffee with Graeme on ASTV Productions. Take care, everybody. Have a good one. See you Thursday.